Color guard, please present the colors.
Detail. Halt. Detail. Right. Peace. Detail. Post. Colors. Detail. Present. Ha. Detail. Order. Ha. Detail. Shoulder. Ha. Detail. Left. Peace. Detail. Forward. Hutch.
Hello everyone, and welcome to SGO's 2024 Memorial Day ceremony. On behalf of the Executive Board, I would like to thank all of you for joining us this morning. We will begin our ceremony with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for our national anthem.
Thank you to Mrs. Derrick, Mr. O'Shea, and the student musicians in the choir and band. Our first speech this morning is from Grayson Johnson.
When thinking of Memorial Day, there's one place my mind goes. I think of the bloody battles, grown men and women lined up in fields, ready to take action against opponents. I think of chaos and mayhem, loss and tragedy, and while all of those things are a component to the lives lost every year, we tend to ignore one battle. The silent battle which takes over veterans months or even years after they're done fighting. That's the battle of mental health that follows many veterans for the rest of their lives. On top of all the grief and sorrows that veterans face, many have no choice but to carry the extra burden of mental health issues. When feeling accomplished and proud for defending our country, those feelings can be completely covered by feelings of nostalgia that many feel unable to escape. Veterans can leave the loud battles and bloodshed, but it's something that can never get away from them. While coming home to a normal day-to-day life may be easy for many, for veterans it can completely alter the normalcy that they had grown so used to. Returning to a life where they're no longer expected to risk it at any moment can be something so dystopian. It may be normal for many to feel ashamed and push those feelings away, because how could someone who can go and protect whole countries not be able to protect themselves from their own mind? But this is so far from the truth. According to the Department of Veteran Affairs, approximately 22 veterans commit suicide every day. That's a life lost almost every hour of the day. This can be caused from not only mental illnesses such as anxiety, depression, or PTSD, but also from things we don't talk about as much, such as substance abuse or insomnia. Another factor many don't think to consider is the abuse of opioids among the veterans community. When suffering from injuries and battles, opioids can often be prescribed and then abused. Our minds and our bodies can only be controlled to certain lengths, and this should be normalized with everyone, but especially veterans. When being provided with safety and protection, we should be able to return the respect by giving a shoulder to lean on when a veteran is in need. Suicide has become one of the leading causes of death in America, and yet still isn't discussed enough. The thought of not being able to find help should never have to be a thought for the people who work so hard to help us. We need to discuss mental health resources and push the idea of protecting mental health for people in the armed forces. Being connected to feelings of remembrance can be so difficult if you have no direct ties to anyone who has fought, but mental health is something that we all know and are surrounded with every day. We all have the resources available to combat this, a voice and the ability to listen. So on this Memorial Day and for the next ones to come, check in on your loved ones who've been in the armed forces and ask how they're doing, because you truly never know if someone is struggling until it's too late. And to the veterans who join us today and everyone who has fought on the field and off of it, we see you, we hear you, and above all, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Our final speech this morning is from Andrew Phillips.
As I push myself up off the ground, I attempt to brush the reddish dirt off my clothes. The hot sun burns the back of my neck, and my face is immediately swarmed by bugs. And yet I couldn't be happier. I'm in the midst of my family's annual Memorial Day baseball game. At its conclusion, we will retreat to my grandparents' house for some much-needed air conditioning and delicious food. This is my Memorial Day, a day for fun, friends, family, and optimism for the upcoming summer. However, as I enjoy time with my living family, many around the country will spend the day in mourning for beloved souls passed on. These deceased individuals had families of their own and lives filled with joy. And yet, they were willing to risk everything they held dear, even their very selves, to ensure that you and I can live our peaceful, comfortable existences. They loved our country, and more importantly, its people, so much that they offered the greatest sacrifice any human being can offer. They stood alongside Martin Luther King, who once said there are things so dear, some things so eternally true, some things so precious that they are worth dying for. Freedom is one of these eternal, precious truths. Every decision you and I make, every action you and I take, has been bought by the lives of countless courageous soldiers. Free agency is not, in fact, free. For nothing in this world is more valuable than even a single human life. And America's debt lies with over 1 million fallen soldiers. Yet even this falls short of the full scope of American sacrifice. Numbers cannot encapsulate the pain of spouses, siblings, and friends, learning that they would never again see their loved ones on earth. So while you enjoy your Memorial Day, I humbly ask that in the back of your mind, you remember that everything you do has been paid for by the blood and tears of our military and their families. Live your lives every day to make the sacrifice they made for you worth it.
At this time, we will take a moment to recognize the BHBL alumni who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Robert M. Anderson, Fred F. Kingsbury, Robert C. Bates, Julian M. Boswell, Ambrose Lombardo, William A. Macmillan, Liam Casey, Walter A. Condé, John A. Mancini, Gerard Phoenix, John J. Fanning, William Quellhorst Jr., Graydon Godfrey, William Schermerhorn, Herbert D. Gott II, Joseph B. Smith, David B. Hansen, Arthur C. Ward Jr., Harold Heckler, Joseph Zanetti, and Raymond M. Horniff. Thank you.
Please join me in a moment of silence to honor those who have given their lives for their country. Color guard, please retire the colors.
Detail. Halt. Detail. Right. Peace. Detail. Present. Huh. Detail. Order. Huh. Detail. Retrieve. Colors. Detail. Shoulder. Huh. Detail. Left. Peace. Detail. Forward. Hot.
On behalf of the BHBL High School SGO, I would like to thank you all for joining us today and honoring those who have given their lives for our freedom, which can be represented by the 21 empty chairs. We would like to further express our gratitude to Mr. O'Shea in the band and Mrs. Derrick in the concert choir for today's music, our seniors Grayson and Andrew for their thoughtful words, and the tech department for broadcasting this ceremony. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you and have a safe weekend.